Oh, we didn't go. Welcome to Podadelphia. My name is Dave DiOrio. You can find me on Twitter at @fat_lobster. And I am joined by two roided up racehorses. What's up, Sarah and Gene?
Well, it is true I am taking supplements. I don't know if they give me an advantage or not in horse racing. I've never done it before, so I don't really have a baseline. And the president's never called me a junkie. So I feel like I'm winning all around. Hi, this is Sarah Siders. You can find me on Twitter at Sarah Siders. You can find the show at Podadelphia.
And this is Gene Zelank. You can find me on Twitter at Producer Gene. And I probably should have done some horse steroids. I feel like I'm still dealing with some brain fog from my second vaccine dose over the weekend. So if I'm on delay, it's not the camera, it's just me. So also you can find the show at Podadelphia on Twitter.
Right, great. It's this is a performance enhanced podcast all around. We are excited to be back today. We have a lot. We're back. Everyone was off last night, and now everyone's back. Phillies are on right now. Sixers are trying to clinch that 1 seed. Their magic number is 1. It can happen tonight with a win over the Pacers. Thoughts on the 1 seed? Should we be excited about the 1 seed?
I think so. I'll start because I am the most novice of novice Sixer fans, but it's exciting to me.
You're not a professional Sixers fan.
I am not a professional
hobbyist Sixers fan.
Yes, indeed. But it's exciting to me because it's been a very long time. I mean, since Iverson was here, right? I mean, I don't even think the Sixers have sniffed the number 1 seed in the East since then. So it really is kind of the culmination of the last few years. And I hope, it doesn't end this year, but let's worry about this year first. But it's been building to this. It's, they're meeting expectations, lock in that 1 seed and go into the playoffs to prove something. So it's exciting to me. It's a statement more than anything.
Yeah, I think this by far is, the Jimmy Butler year was interesting, the quadruple doink and all that, but I really do think this is the best chance year. I think the window is this year, next year, and maybe 2 years from now. But I think this year and next year are really it. This is your best chance at grabbing that brass ring and taking home a championship. I think, and I'm kind of torn between this year. Like next year, Maxey will be like next level player, but who knows what happens with the rest of the teams in the East, and maybe the Nets are healthier too. So I don't know. I really think that obviously whenever you have an opportunity, you really have to strike when the iron's hot. And I think this is it for the Sixers. I'm vibing it so hard right now. Gene, where are you at?
I think the interesting thing is, and you sort of touched on what my point is going to be, the Sixers are sort of doing the opposite of what maybe the other main contenders in the East are doing, specifically the Nets, where there's a feeling of, I don't know, the Nets to me feel like they're not really getting stronger as they're going into the playoffs, almost like they're already sort of in like a rest their players mode, that this 1 seed doesn't seem to be that important to them, at least as far as if you look at the way these, it's hard not to sort of scoreboard watch as you've been coming down to this last group of games. You've been sort of watching what's been happening with the Nets and with Milwaukee and trying to sort of say, hey, who's going to be the team that the Sixers are going to have to sort of push out of the way who's going to be nipping at their heels. And Milwaukee sort of did a lot of the heavy lifting for us as far as putting the Nets away. They took 2 from them really late here. And, it's been interesting because everybody's been saying since the Nets put together the big 3 that they were going to be just these beasts of the East. And they just haven't had the time to play together. The Sixers have really been the team that has been in the Eastern Conference. And I think the Sixers are deeper. They are, as much as if you listen to the way Doc Rivers talk, they're not going to be afraid to run a 10-man or 11-man rotation, at least in the first rounds of the playoffs. I don't know how much of that's true. That might sort of be just what Doc is saying to keep his guys in it. But there really are like 10 guys you could legitimately say, like, yeah, he may get some meaningful playoff minutes. And the Sixers are just, in my opinion, right now, they are already sort of building towards getting momentum for the playoffs. And if they can clinch this 1 seed for a team like the Sixers, who really could use the extra time to have not have Embiid be play, even if you're going to like let him play a little in the last couple games, just so that he's not on ice. It would be nice to not have to have him play 40 minutes leading up to these next, leading up to the playoffs. Totally. It'd be nice to not have like that game in Orlando or at home against Orlando at the end of the season, to have it not mean anything other than just to stay sharp. And more importantly, probably than for any other team, we know if you look at last year's splits, the Sixers are a not just better, but like a better by leaps and bounds better team at home. And you want to keep yourself in position that you are the home team for as long as you can possibly be in the playoffs, especially seeing it sounds like as of mid-June, which should still be hopefully playoff time here in Philadelphia for the Sixers, you could have packed houses at the Wells Fargo Center for like the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals if the Sixers get there. You could have full houses, loud crowds, and if I'm a team like the Nets or I'm a team from the Western Conference, I don't want to come into a Philadelphia that's packed to the gills after a year of waiting to see the Sixers at their peak. So I'm glad that the Sixers are where they are right now. I'm glad they're in position to have anything called a magic number. I'm glad that they're going to go into the playoffs on an up note rather than.
And if you're projecting super far, like projecting NBA Finals, you would be a game behind the Suns and 3 games behind the Jazz. So it doesn't look like you're going to be guaranteed home field advantage or home court advantage throughout the entire tournament. But you mentioned it looked like the Nets have sort of like conceded a while back that they wouldn't get the 1 seed. Is it? They act like they don't want it, but is it they don't want it because they're not going to get it? And are they at the point now where it's like they don't even care about getting the 2 seed because the opponent at this point, the second round opponent, is predetermined to be the Bucks, and so they're already in like foot off the gas mode.
I mean, go ahead.
Go on, June. Go. I'll go. What I was going to say is, haven't they kind of been foot off the gas all year? The Nets with staggering who's in their lineup, and they've assembled this super team. It's sort of shown a lack of concern for the regular season, or an arrogance that they don't need the number 1 seed. And Dave, I'm sure you're right that things would be different if they were closer. If it was within striking distance, I'm sure that the line out of Brooklyn would be, oh yeah, we're going to take that number 1 seed, and we're going to have home games all the way. But I think they can play it off as too cool, as like disinterested of, yeah, we'll play you wherever and we'll win, because they've felt disinterested all year. They felt like, yeah, we're just waiting for the playoffs, and that's when our super team will show up.
Right. And they've been playing kind of the health shell game too, where it's like, okay, you only have one of three available at any given time. So, all right.
Well, I
Well,
mean, they are coming off of one of those of the big three is coming off of a major leg injury.
Sure.
So they've had to sort of play that. When you think back to like the big three in Miami when LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh were together, Dwayne Wade and LeBron in their primes were certainly two-way players. They were, as valuable on the defensive side as they were on the offensive side. If you look at the Sixers to some degree, if you look at what some might qualify as their big three, Tobias and Joel and Ben, you might say that Ben is more valuable on the defensive side than he is on the offensive side. If you look at Brooklyn, whenever you're watching Brooklyn play, if you listen to national broadcasters, you always get you do always end up hearing like, "Wow, this Nets team can score," but are they going to play defense at some point? Are they going to defend in the playoffs? Are they going to be able to play in the half court when playoff time come? And that's what we're going to find out. Has the gamble paid off by playing this sort of injury game and not overtaxing their guys in the regular season and not having them play together, which I think is ultimately the thing that will be detrimental to
Jesus.
them.
Well, if you ask Brett Brown, they're not going to do well because you have to have 6 seasons to gel everyone together. Although other teams can put it together like magic, I just all right. Well, look, we got high pressure situations all over the place right now. The Sixers are up by 5 in the third quarter against the Pacers at the time of recording, and the Phillies are hanging on to a 1-run lead going into the 7th inning. So they need, 9 more outs from the bullpen. But Coonrod the Immortal just got him out of the 6th.
And real quick,
yeah.
The Phils are hanging on to a 1-run lead. That's evergreen. Like you can just whenever you're listening to this, if the Phillies are playing, they're hanging on to a 1-run lead.
Woo, we got listeners from Australia on right now. So that's good stuff. What time is it there? Holy smokes.
It's like mid-morning.
Okay, well then that's not
it
was the middle of the night. All right,
it's also Wednesday.
Let's move on because Sarah, I've been kind of like following your exploits this week on Flyers Twitter. Flyers Twitter's just been nuts. I thought Phillies Twitter was really negative over the last week for a team that went 5-2 over the last 7 games. Before coming into tonight, Flyers Twitter's taking it to like a whole nother level. What's going on? Because season's over. It's all over, but the crying now. So. And there's a lot of crying going on.
There is a lot of crying. It's the Lord of the Flies out there. People are mad. People are mad, and Flyers fans are mad at each other. And I'd like to say that I'm not a part of that group, but clearly I am. If you look at my Twitter, clearly I'm as passionate as anybody else. But no, Flyers fans are having a really hard time processing this season, and not just this season, the sort of current state of the Philadelphia Flyers. And I got embroiled in it. Me being embroiled in Flyers Twitter drama is not new. I do it on a semi-regular basis. Yeah. I don't mean to. I can't help myself. I tend not to be the most demonstrative. I tend to be the little more of a pragmatic, or at least I try to be, and that for some reason leads to me being in a lot of arguments. But this most recent round was a diatribe by a gentleman, first name Anthony, last name I'm looking it up right now. He writes with the fourth period, and he does Brotherly Pod and something else.
Sure.
And this diatribe went around. Glenn Mack now, I think, even read it on WIP, and it rubbed me the wrong way. Not that someone wrote it, not that someone felt it.
What was the context? What
Well,
was included? What was this about?
The context is, and I don't want to do it a disservice because there was a lot in there, but it was about the state of the Philadelphia Flyers and calling out fans for being complacent. And that's probably one of the first issues I took. I mean, even someone like me who doesn't want to be bombastic, doesn't want someone fired, doesn't mean I'm complacent, called out other journalists for being complacent. I don't know why a journalist can't be dispassionate. I would expect a journalist to be dispassionate. You know, a movie reviewer doesn't go, "Man, Warner Brothers is really fucking up their latest rollout." No, they review the movie. Was it a good movie? Was it a bad movie?
You know what sports journalism needs? More hot takes.
Well, they're out there.
That's what we need.
They're out there, and that is what had happened. And it was more or less a diatribe about how the Flyers have lost their way.
Okay.
And I got roped in when Russ Joy shared it and said, "There's a lot of truth in this thread." And I said, "No, there isn't." To which he replied and called me delusional. And I sworn myself real quick before this show began, knowing that Dave had this on the agenda, that I would not rehash the whole thing.
There's no way I wasn't gonna like bring all this back up.
Oh no! But I didn't. Anthony DeMarco
Okay.
was the gentleman who started off, and it was Russ called me delusional, and I had said, you know, these are why I believe what I believe, and where the fixation of where the bulk I was involved in came about over the idea that no one wants to play for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Okay, here it is. Now we're at the heart of this. So there's a sentiment floating around Flyers Twitter that high profile free agents will not sign with Philadelphia for some reason. They don't want to play for the Flyers, and this is something that's quote unquote confirmed by inside sources or whatever, people close to the team, or like my ear to the sidewalk, or my nose was to the grindstone, and I heard that high profile free agents don't want to play for the Flyers. It's up to the reader to determine why they believe that is.
Yeah, that's what it was at first. So it was just commonly known. It's out there that no one wanted to play for the Flyers.
Although no one has said this. No one has said this.
So you go try to find it. Try to find a single article. If you find one, share it with me at Sarah Siders on Twitter. Siders is spelled Seiders. If you have this
contrary to what's in my phone.
I've only known you 22 years or whatever. God, more than that now, like 24. But that's neither here nor there. But if you have some player, some agent, anybody on a record saying no one wants to play in Philadelphia, share it with me, because it's not out there. And after much consternation, going, who is saying that people don't want to play in Philadelphia? And the answer was, well, it's common sense. Look at it. People used to come to the Flyers for they pay us to play practically, but people used to come to the Flyers for discounts. They'd line up to go to the Flyers. That's why I have my Keith Tkachuk jersey. That's why I have my Curtis Joseph jersey just sitting in the closet over there, because everyone always wanted to play for the Flyers.
Because we're pulling down rings every year.
Oh yeah, of course. But it was this idea that once Hextall took over, or maybe Holmgren, or maybe not Hextall, I don't really know. But at some point, when Ed Snyder died, or in 2014, again, that seems to be a moving target, either when he died or in 2014, people decided they no longer wanted to play for the Flyers. And that was proof over all the free agents they haven't signed. Now, important caveat, you're not allowed to count JVR or Kevin Hayes. So in 2 of the last 3 off seasons, the Flyers have signed a high-profile free agent, probably the second highest profile free agent in each class. We're not allowed to count those.
Why? Why aren't we allowed to count those?
Because the Flyers paid them money.
Well,
that's me being sarcastic, but the
and
argument,
JVR already played here, so it was basically giving us a hometown discount, right?
well, we way overpaid for JVR, and Rush Joy had said that the reason he doesn't count was because Dave Scott wanted him. That's why he doesn't count.
So now
as
we're
a
back
free
to the
agent.
Comcast link.
We are. That's why I shared something earlier on
did.
Twitter. One of our conversations from 2 weeks ago, at the end of the show 2 weeks ago, no place like Adubel home. There was some Adubel and
No.
home
The
pun in there.
Dubel tolls for thee.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dubel tolls for thee.
Wasn't that last
sorry.
week?
That was 2 weeks ago. I wasn't here last week.
Oh yeah. Right.
So there we talked at length about the legacy of Ed Snyder and what it means when Comcast owns the Flyers. And that came up again. I'm not going to rehash everything I said 2 weeks ago.
Right.
But something you should know is we don't have any definitive answer. You know, Dave, you positioned at that time, it's like, well, Comcast only cares about the bottom line. And it makes sense. I'm not going to argue with your logic.
Well, I postulated about it. I don't know anything. I'm just
nobody knows.
Right. I'm just thinking like, okay, what is different about the Flyers organization from, over the last 5 years? What's changed? And it wasn't so much Comcast owning it. It was more Ed Snyder no longer being involved.
Right.
Because he's not alive.
And that's a different topic, because I do think that, and you're talking on the show, it's for me as a fan, and I think for a lot of fans who talk about the consternation, the anxiety in the Flyers fan base has to do with our, either our figurative father or grandfather or comforting figure is gone. We could always go, Ed's going to take care of us. We can trust him. Well, we don't know Comcast yet. They've been around since 1996. This isn't new. They've been in the ownership of this team since 1996.
Yep.
But they've never been the full owner.
Yes.
So we can't trust them yet. And I feel that a little bit too, but I'm not ready to say they don't care about winning. That, oh my Lord, Gritty. That, Gritty is very popular, so they don't care about the Flyers anymore. Do you remember? Okay, now I'm jumping back and I'm jumping around, but I got into trouble and got into arguments. Jump around. But over the Flyers Hockey Fights Cancer Day, on their first promotion for it was a picture of Gritty, and people like Anthony Sanfilippo and Glenn Macnow were upset that they didn't feature Oscar Lindblom in the photo to promote it. And the man's not a mascot. We have a mascot. His name is Gritty. His purpose is for promoting things. Oscar Lindblom beat cancer. And it's not like
it's a valid point.
It's not like they didn't celebrate him. They all wore his name and number on their back.
Yeah.
They had him like skate out in front. This is a celebration of him. Wouldn't it be crass to use it for ticket sales? Couldn't somebody say you're using Oscar's cancer to sell tickets?
All right, so it's one of those like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Well, you're damned if you do, because people are mad at the Flyers right now. That's it.
So it's whatever they do, it's wrong.
Whatever they do, it's wrong.
It's like one of those situations. And meanwhile, you put a dirt or murderer on the front of the program.
See, they should come right here for come and get your authentic Philadelphia accents.
No, not here. I can't do it. Even when I try to think about how to do it, I can't do it.
Get a few drinks in me. Get a few drinks in me. It'll come out. But people are upset with the Flyers, and today was media day or locker room pack up day or getaway day or whatever you want to call it. And oh my Lord, look at any comment and it's people going, excuses, or God, I can't believe he's saying this or whatever. And I'm like, well, what do you want them to say? Elaine Vigneault was specifically asked would a regular season have helped you? Are you looking forward to having a regular season? He's like, yeah, we can use those practice times. We can use the rest, use the downtime. It's like excuses.
It's excuses because every other team was contending with the same issues.
Well, every other team is contending with the same issues, but I mean, look around, look at real human beings, look at our lives. Some of your friends are doing better working at home than others. And that's not a moral judgment. We're all handling this pandemic differently, but also when you're asked, Gene, since I'm talking and cutting you out of the conversation, Gene, if I go, how, the pandemic's been difficult. Is your life going to be easier when it's over? And you say yes. And I go, oh, Gene, with all those fucking excuses, it doesn't work that way. And there's just so much.
It won't be, by the way, just so you know.
It's got to be a little easier. It has to be a little easier. But there's so much uncertainty surrounding this team. And I think maybe that might be another catalyst, that it's effort. These guys don't care. Travis Konechny, I forget his exact phrase, but said they were messing up the little details. It was execution, not effort. And they go, oh, easy for him to say. Like, what's he supposed to know? It's like, oh man, we are some of the laziest people in the world. Like, I would have played harder, but man, I had to get my Mario Kart in. Like, no. I mean, they at least think they're trying. So it's incredibly frustrating when people ascribe ill intent to the Flyers, that they don't care about winning, that they just want to make money, and they don't care about the fans, and they don't care about this, and they don't care about that, and they think they can fool you, and you're fools for going to the games, even though attendance is down. We've talked about this. Go back, listen. We've talked about it. It's assuming sinister motives as opposed to bad luck. Sometimes shit happens, and maybe people aren't as good as we thought they were. That's it.
I just think Flyers fans are really, well, I think I should say, we are looking for some level of predictability with this team. Like, I would love to walk into a game, a month, a season with some level of like, I know what to expect from this team. I'm going to get good goaltending. I'm going to get poor goaltending. I'm going to get, solid defensive play. I'm going to get an offensive team. I'm going to get a defensive team. I'm going to get good specialty. Like, whatever it is, I just want to know what it is instead of like rolling them bones every game, every season even. And like, hey, you could get an Eastern Conference contending team. You could get a team that could get the first overall draft pick. Who the fuck knows? It's the same personnel, but we could finish anywhere from Stanley Cup championship to the worst team in the league. And honestly, that's just so hard for me to wrap my brain around, that a team can fall into like a spectrum that's so vast like that. Like, you should have some idea of what we have on our hands. And like, over the last 4 years, it's like, yeah, you have no idea. You have no idea.
It's true. And that extends to another point that becomes a point of frustration for me, is talking about trends longer than 4 years. Talking about, well, the Flyers have been irrelevant since 2013 or whatever the case may be. Well, you can't dismiss the fact that Hexie was running a rebuild during the middle of it. No one signed here because they weren't trying to sign big name free agents.
Right.
But it's hard to logically look at things in a vacuum. And it's hard to look at this season that falls in that pattern, that odd year bad, even year good, that the Flyers have been doing since 2012. Since 2012, it's been make the playoffs, miss the playoffs every other year, and go and look at things now and go, it's all the same. It doesn't matter. Nothing's different. When if you look just at the end result, yeah, it's going to feel that way, and it might look that way. But when you look deeper, there's reasons to believe that this year was different because of the pandemic, because of it being the young players that showed so much promise, all regressed outside of Farabee. All of them regressed or didn't progress. So that's a big question mark. Was everyone worse than what we thought they were? Are none of these guys legit NHLers? I mean, the law of averages tells you that's not true. So it fits the pattern, but that doesn't mean nothing has changed. And it might. It might mean that. We might be having the same conversation 2 years from now. And it's going to be maddening if we are. And next season's going to be tough. Next season, it's going to be so... unless the Flyers are competing for the President's Trophy all year, competing for the best team in the league all year, it's going to be, well, we're okay this year, but we're just going to be bad next year. They have a lot of doubt to erase, and this year certainly didn't do it. So when you're looking for certainty, Dave, I just don't know when that's going to happen, if it's going to happen at all.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about teams that are playing right now. I thought that was good. This is good Flyers update, I guess, for the end of the season.
Random ranting, sure.
Love it.
A more coherent version was on that show 2 weeks ago. I do want to ask one last thing from that diatribe. Russ Joy did finally come up with the secret hidden answer as to why no one wants to play for the Flyers. He did 9 tweets. I'm only going to tell you one sentence, because everything else wasn't information, was just ancillary stuff. But it was apparently agents are mad at the Flyers because Hextall didn't sign enough free agents and didn't play enough games there. And while there might be a nugget of truth to that, I'm sure there's some nugget of truth to that, but I don't think it's a reason why people wouldn't want to play for the Flyers. Maybe an agent might go, let's not talk to the Flyers. Let's talk to this person because I'm pissed off at the Flyers. But they're not going to screw over their client. They're going
to sign with the team that offers the most money.
Yeah, right. That offers
90% of the time.
Or like Jágr came to the Flyers because he said, I do better with right-handed centers. They have 2 right-handed centers to feed me the puck. I'm going to the Flyers.
Hey, I love the I'm in it for me mentality.
Every free agent
is predictable. At least it makes sense and there's like logic to it.
Yeah, and it's not some hidden secret answer. I hate to break it to you, but almost every conspiracy theory is fake. Take the simple answer. People are interested in themselves. Dave, on to the teams that are playing.
The Phillies. Let's talk about baseball. We're gonna settle in for a little baseball talk for the last 35 minutes of the show here in one way or another. The Phillies. Was Saturday night the worst loss you've ever seen?
Oh, I mean, worst loss in Phillies, if it's not followed by Joe Carter, it really becomes hard for me to quantify it.
Okay. Worst regular season loss you've ever seen?
The answer is probably not, just because I've seen a lot, but I can't think of one worse. I can't think of one worse right now.
It might only hurt because it's so recent. I mean, there were some nasty ones last year for sure.
I've said it on this show many times. I blacked out last season. I can't, it went right from 2 seasons ago to now. I don't remember any of 2020 baseball. I'm sorry.
Okay. So you do have famous Hector Neris angst.
I do.
So yeah, I just think, Gene, what is the answer so what is the bigger problem, center field or closer?
I still think your bigger problem is center field,
Yeah, me
simply
too.
because you cannot continue to be a contending baseball team for an entire season when you're trying to only play offense with less players. When you're offering the teams too close to easy outs a game, you just are not doing yourself any favor. It's also a lot better to get. You don't need to get a great center fielder. You should be
Right.
able to plug that hole a lot easier than finding a closer. I am also of the opinion that a closer, a quality closer, is a luxury. We do have, in my opinion, the ability to get out of games, close games, as the organization, as constructed right now, even if we don't have a closer.
That's like a get you over the top move, right? Like when the Phillies signed Brad Lidge in 2008, that was like a get you over the top sort of. I don't even know who was our closer in 2007. It might have been Brett Myers.
It might have been Brett Myers. It might have been Brett Myers.
I think it was Brett Myers.
But the idea was, now you have a guy whose job it is to lock that down, and he's a specialist. You are willing to take on that luxury because it could mean the difference between winning the division and not winning the division, because you were that close. You had become a playoff team in 2007. This Phillies team has not become a playoff team yet. And like I said, I really do believe that if managed correctly, and that is a big question mark right now, as much as I like Joe Girardi and want to believe in him and want to believe in his style of management, he has not proven to me that he is making the difference that I had hoped for when Gabe Kapler was fired.
This is one of those things where it's like you grow, like when you start work, like your first job, and you thought your boss was like probably some kind of like genius, or like the VP of the company was like some kind of genius. And then you actually start working with these people and you realize it's like, oh, you're a moron like everybody else. Right, I think that's baseball, man. Just like, oh, you're an idiot too. Right. La Russa's out there not knowing the rules, the extra inning rules, where to put runners on base, who's taking on second base.
La Russa has a lot of has a lot of issues right now too. So,
well, I know he's supposed to be some sort of like, he's a baseball genius or whatever. But they're all, like there's so many goddamn rules in baseball. It's impossible for everybody to know all of them. And we're gonna blast Girardi for this. Anyway, all right. Sorry, Gene, I derailed your point, but
and really the point is, I think that if you look at the way that this team is constructed, it is an improved bullpen. Nobody thought that this was a finished product by any stretch of the imagination. There's so much parity in baseball right now that honestly, you haven't cost yourself the season yet by not coming in with a lockdown closer or I think that there's a lot more to like about this bullpen than there certainly was last year. There's a lot more trending in the right direction than there was last year. But you knew in spring training, all the way through the completion of spring training, you had a hole in center field, and you had 7 different pieces, and you have now tried 7 different pieces to fill that hole. And not only have none of them worked, they have all been progressively worse than the one before. So now you've got to say to yourself, we do not have the answer here in the building. We don't have him at Lehigh Valley. We don't have him at Jersey Shore. That is actually one of our minor league organizations is Jersey Shore. We do not have one doing gym tan laundry.
The situation. We need the situation to close.
The situation is that we need a center fielder. That's the situation. Okay. The situation is Jay Wow needs to come and play center field.
Oh my
God. But
God.
that's the thing is everybody, me,
I'm smelling a show title in here somewhere. So let me just say, Gene, you brought up a good point. Let me just read this to you real quick. This is the Athletic released their MLB power rankings this week. Phillies predictably are like in the middle. They're 15th. Gosh, who wrote this article? I'll quote it at the end. They write, sometimes I play a mean game with my wife where I ask her to guess the answer to extremely specific questions that are not guessable. Then I sit there while she cycles through the several plausible but incorrect choices before I pretend like she should have obviously known all along what the correct answer is. This is what the Phillies do to center field. 6 weeks into the season, Philadelphia is waiting patiently as you guess who the center fielder is. Adam Hazley, Roman Quinn, Mickey Moniak, Odubel Herrera. And then the Phillies smirk and say, Nick Maton, how did you not know that?
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
and
that was good. I was tickled by that.
And I guarantee you play that game with your wife as well.
And this was written by Tim Britton and Chad Jennings for The Athletic. Just to quote that.
I want to jump on one point that Gene said, because it was the exact thing I was thinking with regards to the closer versus center field. If it was our entire bullpen that was the problem, like the past, couple of years, it would be a bigger issue.
Right.
While our bullpen is not stellar, it's not you better go 7 and hope for the best. Our
there
bullpen
are actual good bullpen outings.
Correct. Correct. There's good bullpen outings and there's serviceable bullpen outings. A closer would be really nice, but it's not as big a detriment as our lack of a center fielder.
Yeah, certainly
they were able to string together a legitimate winning streak. They had a 4-game sweep. This is a team that, unlike last year, that there are going to be stretches of the season where if they are able to get their offense in a way that they're going to be able to win some back-to-back games, they're going to be able to go on a hot streak. I don't think that anybody believes this team was going to run away with anything coming into this season. And I think that that's partly why the front office went into the season with the mindset of, we have to see with what we have where we can make the best investment to push this team forward, to progress this team forward. I think they really believe that of those options, and if I was a general manager, I would want to believe that if I had 8 options or 6 options, one of them would get to at least mediocre. And they lost every possible bet on center field. Every single bet that they made, it got swept, man. Every number they put money on, it just came up 0-0. Like you had no shot at taking home anything in this roulette game. So they need to seriously be looking across all of baseball, everybody's farm system, being like, what are we willing to parse out to get into this system? Somebody who can man center field without taking us too far afield of what we've already got in the works. You need a center fielder. It's not like it's one of those luxury positions. Center field is legitimately one of the most important positions in a baseball field. Playing defense up the middle is very important. All of the great teams that you have ever heard of in the history of baseball have great center fielders. Or Shane Victorino.
Come on, man. That's tough. Why are you going to do Shane like that? All right, so for the last 15 minutes, I want to introduce a new segment, everyone. It's Yacht Club Dave's Baseball Hodgepodge.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think, Gene?
Yeah. Let me go get my boat shoes.
For the people who are just listening to the show, you are being assigned homework. When you are in front of the computer, please go to either the Painted Lines YouTube page or go to Podadelphia's Facebook page. Go to around the 43-minute mark, 30 seconds. You need to see the graphic Dave put together for this. It is chef's kiss beautiful for it.
So
it makes about much sense as the title of this segment.
We have a lot of like national stories to talk about, and I thought we could like spend a couple minutes on each one to bring us home tonight. The first one, I want to talk about Albert Pujols, just given the outright walking papers from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, California. Did they do him dirty?
I think the short answer is yes.
Yeah?
I think the short answer is yes. I don't know how much loyalty you owe a professional athlete, especially one that's never won a title for you. But he made a big commitment to that organization. He made them relevant after outside of funny name changes and as many different logos as you can count. He really put
rally monkeys. Don't forget the rally monkey.
Oh yeah, the rally monkey was important. I'm sorry. Yeah, screw Pujols. Treat the rally monkey.
I forgot about the rally monkey. That's that was that was the World Series year, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They were the rally monkey. Yeah.
But I think unless it is ruining team chemistry, unless there's some sort of strife there, ride it out or let him make the call or something. It rubbed me the wrong way, but not terribly so.
Yeah, I mean, so his offensive WAR is minus 0.4. His defensive WAR is minus 0.2. He's just certainly, and he's been minus on both for quite a while now. By all accounts, it's like he's still like, I want to play every day. I want to play first base. And they're like, yeah, that's not going to work. You're going to be like a bench player. And he's like, yeah, that doesn't work for me. And they're like, all right, well, it doesn't work for us either. So get to step in. Yeah.
It's amazing to me that there wasn't a way that, and I don't know that they would have been able to find a trade partner, so to speak. And I'm guessing that the bigger problem is that Albert Pujols is not willing to sort of do his victory lap. I sort of remember when Ken Griffey Jr. was at the end of his career, which is what if you
White
sort of
Sox,
remember.
right?
What's that?
White Sox?
I think so. But I'm sort of thinking back to like maybe his last year with Cincinnati when there was that game where they literally caught Griffey Jr. like sleeping in the dugout between innings or something like that. Maybe that was when he had gone to Chicago and was DHing and it was literally just like napping in the dugout. And you sort of said like, like Griffey was at once like, the hands down best player in baseball. And now, he's a guy napping in the dugout between innings. It's sort of like, well, if you watch your heroes long enough, you're bound to see them become the villains or at least become too old to be your hero.
Right.
I wish that Pujols had a chance to. I mean, Pujols, without a doubt, was the best player in baseball for 5 years. Was it as long as 10? And it wasn't even close. He was the most dominant player in the game when he signed that contract with the Angels. I feel like that contract never worked out in terms of him maintaining his image as an MVP, a perennial MVP candidate.
Well, he was an all-star from 2003 to 2010.
Yeah.
And he was getting MVP votes as late as 2014. But like, all right, so here's the big question. We've talked about this with Roy Halladay. Does he go into the Hall of Fame, blank hat, Angels hat, or Cardinals hat?
I'm gonna say Cardinals. He
was 10 years with the Cardinals, 10 years with the Angels.
Yeah. But he won it with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Angels paid him a lot of money.
It's funny because it's actually like closer on paper than it is like in your mind about like, the time it feels like he was forever a Cardinal and but yeah, he was forever an Angel too. So
yeah, I think he's also been sort of an irrelevant Angel for 4 years at least. When's the last time you were sitting in a fantasy baseball draft and were like, man, I got to grab me Albert Pujols? It's probably been about since 2015. So It feels like he's tapered off as far as his production to a point where he became regular guy, Albert Pujols, to now bench player and out of baseball, Albert Pujols.
Yeah, but just look at if you can see this sort of the salary that he was making when he was in St. Louis, and then as soon as he switched over to Los Angeles, it just basically doubles or more than doubles, but you can see the awards and the accolades sort of also dry up during that time. So I mean, that's probably why it's so ingrained in our brain to think of him as a Cardinal.
Yeah, but that's unfortunately kind of how it goes in baseball.
That's it.
It's all, and I mean, when Pujols signed that contract, everyone said it's like, well, it's great for the Angels now, but in the long run, you're going to be paying a lot of money to a guy well past his prime. Pin here for Bryce Harper.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's going to happen to us too.
The hope was that we were going to get a longer window of productivity with Bryce Harper than the Angels did, since we signed Bryce at the age that we did.
Yeah, and I mean, that was being a little snarky. I don't want to. I'm not scared of Bryce's production declining just yet, but the more you talk about it, I think a case could be made for either. The thing the players should probably do, Pujols should probably go in with a blank hat. I think it's the official Podadelphia stance that we don't like blank hats. Pick a hat, and I would think he should pick the Cardinals. His accountant probably thinks he should pick the Angels. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, it's not, the Sixers are tied with the Pacers with like 4 minutes left, and the Phillies are in the bottom of the seventh with 2 outs. They have the bases. The Nationals have the base load, so it's like crazy. All right, let's move on. The Mets this week: Rat or Raccoon? Which, by the way, everyone in the press conference was saying Raccoon. Is that how you say Raccoon?
I don't know, Dave. When I saw the outline for this show, once again, I was scared because
do you guys know? I mean, does everyone know this story? What happened?
I don't know the story.
Okay, all right.
And then
also, so let me lay it out for you. I'll lay it out for you. There, I don't even know what night it was. The Mets are playing. It's the middle of the game, and guys all of a sudden are running into the tunnel. Right, Lindor and McNeil are in the tunnel, and a bunch of guys are standing on the railing, and all of a sudden it was like, what? Oh, and they run into the tunnel, right? And in the post game show, they said okay, what is? Oh my God, JT just get hurt. What's the deal? And Lindor was like, oh, I saw a rat, and I had never seen a New York City rat before. And Jeff McNeil said it was a raccoon. And I was like, nah, man, that ain't no raccoon. That's a rat. And McNeil was like, yeah, it was we saw a raccoon or a raccoon in the thing. And I actually thought it was a possum. But they're all full of shit. They were fighting. Basically is what it comes down to. And should you just be upfront with the media and say, we had a disagreement, we worked it out, we moved on, we won the game? I don't know what this story is about the raccoon, the Sam Raccoon Rod. No.
So I want to start in the pronunciation first, because that's what I freaked out about. As you went through the story, I saw little blips about it, but I didn't stop to pay attention because I don't really care that much about rodents.
Or the Mets. What's the difference?
But a change happened for me a couple years ago.
Alvarado got him.
Nice.
They left him loaded.
Alvarado.
6 outs to go. Let's do it. Switch it over to the Sixers game.
We're just losing Dave on the live stream.
It's fine. It's tense. It's a great night. It's a great night for Philly sports.
But a couple years ago, I noticed I started pronouncing raccoon like that, as opposed to raccoon. My whole life, it was raccoon. Yeah, Rocky Raccoon. And then I think maybe it was Rocket Raccoon, or from Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe that was the switch. But I started saying raccoon, and I'm like, that's not how you say it.
Maybe it's a you're getting old thing. Like maybe you'll start saying robots.
Robots.
Yeah.
Yes.
The dang robots are gonna take over.
Well, thank God for the Mitchell family to fight them.
Rock on, man. Movie's great.
It is. It's really good. Podadelphia recommends. 203 hosts recommend The Mitchells versus the Machines. Gene, have you seen it?
I haven't seen much of anything this week. Honestly, all I've done is watch the Phillies and the backs of my eyelids for like the last 6 days straight. So no frivolous entertainment.
All right, let's keep moving. I got more
rain delay. I got more
stories. I got more MLB stories. Breaking news: the Oakland A's will start exploring relocation possibilities after Major League Baseball suggests the organization consider moving to other cities if the Howard Terminal Stadium proposal is not approved by local politicians. So if a new stadium is not approved by local politicians, the A's are going to consider moving. Where would you like to see the A's relocate to?
I don't know. I see all the listed possibilities, and like Vegas being like a number one contender. Vegas going from like no teams to 3 in a short amount of time would be really surprising.
And basically getting 2 of Oakland's fan bases would be pretty crazy.
I heard Nashville, and just seeing Nashville's atmosphere for hockey, I kind of think Nashville will be really cool for baseball too. So
but
Nashville
they have to stay in the West, though, right?
I mean, Nashville plays in the West for hockey. I mean, they're in the Central Time Zone.
Yeah, I guess that would be good.
But
that would be good. I'm trying to think what else.
Gene, you have a thought?
I don't know if I've seen this, but Oklahoma City is a one-sport town at the moment. They've got a basketball team. It might be interesting. I know that if you're never going to put a team in a place like Omaha, but an Oklahoma team sort of is interesting to me. You put them, you have sort of a natural rivalry with the Rangers or Texas team, maybe by proximity that way. I don't know. I hope that Oakland doesn't move out of California or I hope the A's don't move out of California. I sort of like the A's were sort of a team that I adopted as a and sort of followed as a kid, which I have proof of my longtime fandom of the A's.
Is that okay. I was going to say, if you bring out the original cap that I have known you to wear all of your life.
No, that's packed somewhere, but I still do have that. But here's my Jose Canseco.
Yeah, you were a Bash Brothers fan.
I had in my, this is my childhood bedroom, so this is still here. So I'm not a total. I was a front runner when I was 8 when I hung that. Less of a front runner now. So I hope they stay in California. But if they were to move, I would pick a place like Oklahoma City, someplace that would be a little new to, Major League Baseball.
What about Indianapolis?
The Indianapolis Athletics.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's, baseball's so ubiquitous in.
All right, Sixers are going to lose this game. They're down 7 with a minute left, and it looks like the Nets are 8 points up on the Bulls. So this may be a delay the clinch.
Yeah, we may go another day.
Yeah.
But Indianapolis, I could certainly see a fit. I could see a fit a lot of places. It might just become a question of, can these smaller markets maintain so many teams? But the thing about baseball is it's the only game in town in the summer. It's
right.
It's not like talking about like, oh, Vegas has the Golden Knights and the Raiders, and now you want to add a basketball team. That can be a lot of money to fight for in the winter, but in the summer, no one wants to be outside in Vegas in the summer, or really the winter for that matter. But anywhere in America, that can support any professional team probably can support a baseball team.
All right, here's the top 8 largest cities without a baseball team.
I feel like you're doing a Letterman top 10 list.
No, well, it's not. San Antonio, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Columbus, Austin, Memphis, Charlotte, and El Paso.
Austin would be interesting. I mean, they're not represented by any major league team, like of any of the 4 sports, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, keep Austin weird, and bring in the A's.
The Austin A's. It's not bad.
I am Team Austin. They can do Whippet theme nights. The movie, not the drugs.
I'm sorry, what? They're going to hand out whippets?
Well, in Austin, they probably will. But I was saying the Elliot Page movie, which is good.
Oh yeah, the roller derby movie. Yep. Okay. Last fun little nugget to talk about. We've had 2 no-hitters over the last week. I thought it'd be fun to see if you two could name all of the no-hitters in Phillies history since 1960. And I will venture a guess that you will get all of them except one.
Wow.
That would be my wager.
All right.
Like
Danny Jackson?
Are we working collectively?
Yeah. I'll tell you when you get them.
So like, do you want to guess one, Sarah, and then I'll see if I can follow until we run out?
Well, I'm starting with Danny Jackson.
Okay, not on the list.
I thought he had one. Why did
2 guys from that team do have one though?
Okay, I'll guess one. How about since 1960? You said. How about Jim Bunning?
Yeah, Jim Bunning got one in 1964, the famous 1964 team.
Roy Halladay.
Yes, Roy Halladay got 2. He got the perfect game in the postseason and the perfect game in the regular season and the no-hitter in the postseason. It's only one of like 5 guys to do a no-hitter twice in one year.
My turn.
Gene, you're up. Yep.
Tommy Green.
Tommy Green, 1991, no-hitter. Yeah.
Tommy Green is who I was thinking of, I think, when I was saying Danny Jackson.
Yep.
Kurt Schilling.
Nope, not on the list.
Terry Mulholland.
Terry Mulholland, yes, 1990. Best pickoff move in the history of baseball.
Gene, I'll hand the baton back to you. You're betting 1,000 here, so.
You also haven't picked the most recent one.
His last game as a Philly, yes. Cole Hamels.
Yes, correct.
Is that the most recent one?
That is 2015 was the last Phillies no-hitter.
How many am I missing?
So you're missing one that I know you know, one that I don't think you'll get, and one that is sort of tricky.
Okay, one that
I'll guess Carlton.
Carlton does not have a no-hitter.
Yeah, he didn't.
I know.
That
actually surprises me as well.
What era are we talking about? Of the one I should know.
Like the 2008 to 2015 era. You're missing one. Well, that's like sort of the tricky one. The other one is like early 2000s. You should know.
Do we have a combined no-hitter?
Yes, you got it. That was the 2014. Cole Hamels started that game.
Okay, I think that's like a 3-man or 4-man no-hitter, I think.
Yeah. So you're missing the early 2000s one, and then the one from the 70s that I think you'll probably have difficulty with. I would not have gotten the 70s one. It's hard. The ones that like before you were born are hard.
Yeah, the one that early 2000s. I feel like I should definitely know that.
You should know this. You and I famously went to one of his games where someone screamed out the window, "I paid for this."
Was that someone you?
No.
No, I remember the story. I don't remember who was pitching.
Does Brett Myers have one?
No. He was an import from, I think, the Braves.
Oh, Kevin Millwood.
Yes, Kevin Millwood, 2003. And then I won't torture you
I
with.
do remember that one now.
I will not torture you with Rick Wise's 1971.
Rick Wise. No, I remember. That's a name that's the only reason you hear his name is because he threw it over in the 70s.
Yeah, so that's we're about due for a no, and we flirted with a couple this year. Who do you think is the most likely current starter to get the no? Do you think it's Wheeler, Eflin, or Nola?
Based off this year, I'd say Wheeler.
Yeah.
I love Nola. Nola's always good for a hit in the first inning. He although recently had a good couple runs where that didn't happen, but I always think of Nola as like he gets 2 men on the first and then nobody touches base for like 3 more innings or something. So, but Wheeler's shown a lot of potential for when he's on. He's really hard to hit.
All right, that's it. We're no penalty box this week. We'll be back next Tuesday. We'll be talking about more Phillies. Hopefully we'll be doing some Sixers. Well, we'll definitely be doing some Sixers preview stuff. We'll be talking play-in tournament, all kinds of fun stuff coming up. Until then, if you haven't done so already, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search Podadelphia. If you have any more time in your podcast listening day, be sure to check out the Whip Around for all the week's weird news. Also, be sure to check out and subscribe to the Painted Lines. Find them on YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, wherever you consume social media. They're there. Wall-to-wall Philly sports coverage. Awesome. Check them out. So until we see you next week, have a great day at work, everybody. We are out of here.